Right, is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome to The World in Her Words book club. My name is Aisha, the founder of theworldinherwords.com. The World in Her Words is a website which shares stories about women, both fictional and non-fictional, to entertain and inspire you. Alright, so during our book club, I'll be reviewing books by female authors which I've enjoyed and loved. And the first book that I will be reviewing is Playing Big by Tara Mohr. And this is an excellent book. I have bought copies for, I think, at least 3 different women in my life and sent it to them because I just thought, you need to read this book. And it is essentially a book that teaches you to put your big girl panties on. So Tara has years of experience in coaching, and she spent a lot of time coaching women. And one thing that she found was a lot of the women were really brilliant, really intelligent, had great ideas and great things of how to influence things at their companies, in their lives, but they just didn't feel that they had what it took, right? Through years of coaching, decided to address this issue, right? And what she did was she actually developed a program which is called Playing Big, and it's been quite successful. So about 1,000 women all over the world have participated in this program, and it just helps those women to, realize their brilliance and find tools to achieve it. So Playing Big gives practical tools to help women trust themselves and their instincts, figure out what their calling is, how to make it happen, and how to make their ideas a reality. It helps you play big. So essentially create more of what you want out of life and move past self-doubt into action. One thing that I found really useful in the book is how she talks about the concept of fear. In terms of the concept of fear, it's looking at it from 2 perspectives. So there's 2 Hebrew words for fear, which she talks about in the book. So one is called pashad. So pashad is basically your fear of the unknown. So like whenever you think of something and then you start thinking of the worst case scenarios, when you start overthinking things, yes, I know some of you watching this can relate. And then you just think of how everything can go wrong, right? So that's pashad. But then she also talks about something called yira. So yira, on the other hand, very, very interesting. So according to the Hebrew Bible, it is a feeling that overcomes us when we inhabit a larger space than we are used to. It is the feeling we experience when we suddenly come into possession of considerably more energy than we had before. It is what we feel in the presence of the divine. So yira is the fear that you feel when you think of playing big. So when you have a really big idea, for example, to, let's say, start your own business, maybe take a new course that's going to develop your skills, or maybe take on a presentation or something that you really want that's really going to up your game and move the needle in your life. That fear that you feel when you suddenly feel like, oh my God, what if I'm actually able to achieve this and it goes well? That's yira, right? So I think for me, understanding the difference between the 2 has been really helpful, because when you understand fear and your worst case scenario thinking, but you also understand the difference when it's fear that's sort of coming from the possibility that you could actually achieve something great, it just changes things. Because then when you understand that fear and you understand that you're afraid not because it's going to fail, you're afraid because you might actually succeed, right? So for me, that was a game changer. The other thing that I thought was really cool that she broke down was the difference between your inner critic and realistic thinking. So your inner critic is that voice that pops up in your head whenever you think of something awesome and is like, no, you're terrible, you're not going to be very good at this, you're shit. And realistic thinking is the voice of reason that kind of analyzes those thoughts that you're having and kind of says, is that really true? Is that really the case? And she offers a guide on that. So I'll read a couple of examples. So your inner critic makes definite pronouncements about the situation. So for example, if you're thinking of taking a new course, then your inner critic will be like, no, you're terrible, you're dumb, you're not going to be good at the course, you're not going to pass, you're not going to be good as anyone else. But realistic thinking will ask curious questions about the situation. So it will ask questions like, okay, do you have the skills necessary to take this course? What skills are you hoping to gain from the course? Questions like, does it really matter if you're not as good as everyone on the course? So that's realistic thinking, right? The other example of the inner critic is thinks and speaks in black and white. So there's no nuance. It's you're shit, or you're terrible, or you're dumb. There's no room for any kind of nuance. It's not, okay, maybe you're not so good at this, or maybe you could improve on this. It's just, no, you're shit, you're terrible, you're dumb. But when you are involved with realistic thinking, you're able to deal with complexity and gray areas. So your realistic thinking voice will say, okay, are you actually dumb or shit at this? Or is there room for you to grow and develop this skill? And do you have the capacity to actually learn and grow and develop this skill? So that's more realistic thinking. The last one is focuses on problems, areas of lack. So your inner critic is always focusing on what's wrong with the situation. So back to the example of the course, it's focused on, well, you lack the skills necessary to do this course. You lack the intelligence. There's always lack. There's never any positivity. Whereas with realistic thinking, it seeks solutions. So it might say, okay, we're not good at this, but if we go to the course, we'll learn to develop this. Or it could say, maybe before the course, we can do some reading on this particular topic so that we feel more confident when we go into doing the course. And I think it's really important to differentiate between the two, because quite often we allow the inner critic to take over, and then it stops you from even trying to move forward because you're so stuck on, I'm not good enough, and black and white thinking, and not really focusing on solutions and looking forward, that you don't even act because you're almost paralyzed, and the inner critic voice just keeps looping in your head over and over again. So she talks in the book about how sometimes women rely too much on outside advice and guidance, and there's a lot of focus on getting mentors and relying on them for advice. And I think mentors are awesome. I have really, really cool mentors, and they're really, really valuable. But she also talks about how you can develop your inner mentor. So that is the voice that also guides you and mentors you and tells you how to make the best decisions for yourself. So she has a guided visualization in the book, which is also really cool, and it helps you to discover your inner mentor and get closer to her, which I think is really important. All right, so that's my review of the book. I think it's overall amazing, and I think every woman should read it. If, say, you have a friend who is thinking about starting her own business, or is thinking about finishing her own book, or is thinking about maybe going into a different field, so leaving a field that she's used to and more experienced in and transferring over to another industry, and she's having second thoughts about it, and you're just sitting and looking at her and thinking, oh my god, you are amazing, why do you have these doubts, like, you're great, you should just go for it. Then buy her this book and just give it to her and tell her to read it. Alright, thank you so much for watching so far. That's the first video done. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you buy the book and you read it, please leave a comment and let me know, or you can catch me on Twitter or Instagram. Alright, thank you.